of industrialized countries of the world.
The most important part, which is why we link the two together in this symposium, is that we also need to have corruption-free system for procurement of goods and services, because that will maximize the effects of our new production systems in the country.
Every society has an element of corruption, wherever you look. But it's a desired objective, but it's not going to be something that we say we must have. But it has to be reduced so that the procurement processes in the state sector will be effective, and will enable us to really complete the Ajaokuta Steel Complex, for example, and begin operationalization of that company.
Institutional corruption in Nigeria is a common occurrence, but what remains a source of concern is how Nigeria as a country will produce the level of this cankerworm that has become endemic in all sectors of the economy. They also insist that there is a need for a strong political will to build a culture of transparency and accountability in public institutions in order to make Nigeria a great nation.
Important thing that had failed us was that an effective procurement system need to be addressed, whereas people who are saddled with the responsibility, because we cannot afford to lose the second coming of this particular opportunity, which had actually identified Ajaokuta as the cornerstone of economic revolution for Nigeria through the steel industry.
If the procurement had been very thorough, maybe we will have been able to get a better result, especially from the privatization of the public sector steel companies. We have read a lot of things about how those companies were privatized, and if we are to go by the results emanating from this, from the sales and the performances of the privatized companies, because actually privatization is supposed to bring in efficiency and to improve performance. But if you privatize a company to an individual that doesn't have the capacity either to run it technically or financially, then something is wrong with the procurement process.
The organizers also used the opportunity to call on President Bola Tinubu to prioritize steel development to aid his renewed hope agenda for economic development of the country. The People Expertise and Excellence Foundation (PEF) is a non-profit organization comprising reputable professionals in key sectors, focused on proffering practical solutions to skill management challenges in Nigeria and the continent as a whole. Florence Joshua reporting for Clearview News Desk.
The need for Nigerian youth to build capacity even as the clamor for inclusivity in politics and governance has again been emphasized. This is coming from Nigeria Youth Alternative Council. The council made this assertion on Thursday in Abuja at the 2023 National Youth Stakeholders Summit with the theme, The Nigeria We Want, From Aspiration to Reality. Clearview News correspondent was there and now tells us more.
In his opening remarks at the Stakeholders Summit, President of Nigeria Youth Alternative Council (NYSC) Chukwuka Odimbo said the expected growth and development will continue to elude young people in Nigeria if they fail to adopt the needed strategies for change. He therefore advised youth to embrace innovation and honesty works as a criteria to achieving excellence.
And this event is the third National Youth Summit, National Youth Stakeholder Summit. We have been doing this every year, you understand. And this event is especially in the honor of the General Commander of Nigerian Youth, Dikin Chris Iyawoye. And as you have seen, you have come and you have seen for yourself, we gave him the title and the award because he has empowered and employed over 1 million Nigerian youths, not just in Warri, not just in Abuja, not in Lagos, not just Nigeria, but all over the world.
Chris Iyawoye was named the General Commander of the Nigeria Youth at the event. He expressed confidence in the ability of the young minds to turn things around for good. He added that the world has waited long for youth to arrive. In like manners, Chairman of the occasion, Vasti Modi, said, to change the narrative, Nigerian youth must imbibe the culture of learning.
It's okay to have youths who have capacity for leadership. And not that I just want to become a senator. I just want to, without capacity. That's what you find. where the worst of us continue leading the best of us.
Because if you are not involved in governance, you can actually not do so much to impact lives in large number.
As a young girl with dreams as vast as the sky, I envision a nation built on the pillars of compassion, equality, and sustainability. I dream of a land where every child, regardless of their background, can unlock the gift of education and aspire to reach the stars.
For NYSC President Chukwuka Odimbo, the time to act is now, as Nigeria's development is a collective responsibility and it beholds on the youth to lead the social revolution.
The Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, Abdul Sawaj, says the ongoing exchange of hostage between Hamas and Israeli government should encompass over 7,000 Palestinian hostages in Israeli prisons. He noted that the entire crisis should be treated holistically for peace to reign. He also insisted that there should not be timeline for hostage release from both camps. Addressing journalists in Abuja on the ongoing hostility between Hamas and Israeli forces in Gaza, Sawash noted that the ongoing situation should be used to solve the age-long crisis between Israel and Palestine. And in that light, hostages across the two borders should be released holistically without a time frame. The envoy also wants hostage exchange talk to include the over 7,000 Palestinians behind bars before the outbreak of current hostility.
In the occupied West Bank also, particularly in Hawara village, that have been subjected many times to the several brutal attacks by the terrorist Israeli settler gangs. Out of 300 economic facilities and shops, only 45 have been permitted to open its door. The others are sealed by military orders. This means a heavy economic losses to the already fragile Palestinian economy. Another step to stifle the Palestinian economy and to add insult to the injury. The Israeli government, who are collecting on our behalf the tax on the import products, given that they have full control over the border, they withhold the tax money, which led to the Palestinian government inability to pay the salaries and to the service providers. After a very long international and propaganda against the hospital in Gaza, and after many days of storming, the Israeli army came with zero real proof for their claim of it being used as a military base. Not only this, they came with a fabricated evidence that did not convince even their people and spark a wide criticism and mocking on the Israeli social media itself.
Sawaj insisted that there cannot be peace as long as Israel has nuclear weapons and also occupies Palestinian land. He, however, said he hoped that the new agreement will be another step forward towards solving all the problems between Hamas and Israel. If you are just joining us, you are watching the news on Clavy News Desk. When we come back, we'll bring you stories on women and children. Stay with us.
The news continues now with stories from our area of specialization, women and children. After the main transmission of our news, we rebroadcast on our YouTube page, Clearview TV. Do you operate a women or children's NGO? Are you at the helm of affairs of a government establishment or a corporate organization involved in the affairs of women and children? Then you are our partners in progress. We have a mission to better the lot of our women and children. Join us to celebrate womanhood and work assiduously to better the lot of the Nigerian child. This is our mission.
Welcome back. As part of activities to mark 16 days of activism in Nigeria, The Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Tony Ojukwu, says the Commission stands resolute in its commitment to address critical issues affecting the rights of women and the girl child. Ojukwu made this known in a press conference this Friday, as the day serves as a strong reminder of the pressing need to confront and elevate the challenges faced by women and girls, and by extension, the society.
In his remarks at the press briefing, the Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Tony Ojukwu, said the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is an international campaign that takes place every year, commencing from 25th November to draw awareness for the elimination of violence against women, and ends on 10th December, which is the International Human Rights Day.
It is unequivocal truth that a society that invests in the well-being, progress, and independence of women reap immeasurable benefits. Our efforts towards fostering an environment that champions and prioritizes the rights of women to reproductive health, education, and economic empowerment will lay a foundation for a more equitable and violence-free society which empowers women to make informed decisions and choices that benefits them and promotes their well-being and rights.
Ojukwu said the Commission has set aside a series of programs and activities on identifying and addressing human rights issues. He also urged everyone to channel effort into initiatives that safeguard the rights and dignity of every woman and girl child.
This year's theme urges us to reflect deeply on the various prevention strategies needed to halt violence at its roots. It prompts us to channel our efforts into initiatives that safeguard the rights and dignity of every woman and girl. To celebrate this year's 16 days of activism, the Commission has earmarked a series of programs of activities on human rights issues, particularly rights of women and girls, and also advocacy visits to stakeholders in collaboration with partners such as the Office of the First Ladies of the various 36 states, the MBA in the 36 states, FIDA, and CSOs across the length and breadth of this country. On Tuesday, the 5th of December, the Commission, in collaboration with stakeholders in all the 36 states, will visit all the schools to create awareness on sexual and gender-based violence. And possibly, we will perform drama and sing songs that enlighten people on sexual and gender-based violence.
The theme for the 2023 16 Days of Activism is Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls. The theme focuses on the importance of financing different prevention strategies to end violence against women and girls.
The Minister of Women Affairs, Barrister Uju Kennedy, has declared war against perpetrators of all forms of sexual and gender-based violence in the country. Speaking at a press conference in commemoration of the 2023 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence this Friday in Abuja, alongside the UN Resident Coordinator, Matthias Skamel, the minister noted that under the Renewed Hope agenda, top priority will be given to the rights of women.
This is no more time for women to be violated. This is no more time for women to be used anyhow like slaves. But in as much as we are putting up this fight to make sure we end this, I equally talk to the women because charity begins at home. You have to help yourself before somebody can help you. If we don't know your plights, how do we come in? If we don't teach our children how to report their plights, how do you even know that that child has been molested, has been maltreated? So some of us are equally lacking in this aspect. And I want you to know that if your child, for instance, is molested, we are not only going to sue the person that molested your child, we will equally sue you for negligence. because it is your duty to look down and watch that child and know when her expressions, her moods are changing, and talk to the child. And if for any reason it happens in school, both the mother and the teacher will be joined in the suit for negligence. We have to start looking out for our children like the right way it's supposed to be.
We have plenty of evidence from around the world that prevention works. What works, for example, is to invest into transforming social norms, addressing unequal gender power relations, strengthening essential services for survivors, and enabling safer environments. I secondly call for more attention to gender-responsive budgeting by governments, ensuring that budget circulars, as has happened in the past, have definite allocations to gender equality and women empowered included in budgets.
A coalition of gender groups advocating the reintroduction of the 5 gender bills earlier thrown out of the 9th National Assembly has launched a social media campaign in Abuja. Founder and Executive Director of WARDC, Dr. Abiola Akiyode Afolabi, said the gender bill cluster will bring together key players in the social media and influencer sphere in Nigeria to push for the implementation of these bills. Clearview News' Florence Joshua, who was at the signature launch, brings us details of the event.
The 5 gender campaign seeks to address key gaps in the 1999 Constitution. This is done to ensure adequate awareness of the deficiency in the Constitution and draw attention of lawmakers and the public to the need to have a representative Constitution. Some of the gaps include silent stance on women's right to confer citizenship, disparity and ensure gender equality and inclusion of women in all spheres of life, amongst other issues.
What my assignment is to drive her target for 1 million signatures to become a significant in reach in my 6 area councils of the Federal Capital Territory and emerge with what clearly profiles my principal, the Honorable Minister of the FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, not just as a he or she, but as a super champion for raising the profile for the mandate of women in the history of the Federal Capital Territory. It's never happened before. And so he's waiting for us to do what has never happened before.
Before the bills were presented. And now we are going to make another presentation of the bills. We need to do more. We need to do a lot of sensitization. We are trying to gather, through what sees work now and the coalition, we're trying to gather, signatories. And that's why the launch for today. And we want to work together and calling on all women of Nigeria to let them know that once women and girls, anywhere once we go on again to the Occupy or National Assembly or even the presentation of the bills, in all houses of assembly should get up and do something.
The 9th National Assembly attempt by women was really, to my own analysis, it was a very successful attempt, and that has given rise to a better strategy that the women are actually adopting in the current review for the 10th National Assembly. It has started quite early, and I can see that the mobilization is quite massive.
Recall that in 2022, the 9th National Assembly threw out these bills. Manifesto, a feminist non-political women-focused group made up of over 500 organizations across Nigeria, led a protest against the National Assembly after the bills were rejected. The Gender Cluster Group was formed after this rejection, have also continued with advocacy visits and media awareness on the bills and their impacts on Nigerian women. With increasing calls for gender equality led by United Nations emphasizing that gender equality is not only a fundamental human right, but also a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous society, the coalition hopes to bring back the bills as they are vetted for passage into law by 2024. Florence Joshua reporting for Clearview News Desk.
And that's the news, but before we go, a recap of the top stories.
A non-governmental organization, People's Expertise and Excellence Foundation, a body of development professionals, have converged on Abuja to explore the possibility of adopting zero corruption procurement process in the steel sector to place Nigeria in the list of industrialized countries of the world. We also told you that the National Human Rights Commission has restated its commitment in protecting the rights of Nigerians, especially women and the girl child. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu, made the position known this Friday at a press conference to kickstart 16 days of activism to address critical issues affecting the rights of women and the girl child in the country.
You can follow up on latest events and happenings around you via our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Clavy News Desk, or via our handle on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Clavy Online. Many thanks for watching. I am Imefo Mukun. Enjoy your weekend.